This is our agenda for tonight's session on how to be a poll greeter. I want to talk a little bit about voter protection during GOTV. GOTV is get out the vote. It's the term we use to talk about the final stage of the election when people are casting their ballots. So I'll talk about voter protection in general, because poll greeting kind of is a little tangential to that, plays a little bit of a role. Talk about what you can expect when you have a poll greeting event. Talk specifically about vote tripling, which is a strategy to help us increase Democratic votes. And I'll share some next steps and resources as we get towards the end. So, jumping into voter protection in GOTV, there are four main roles or job titles, volunteer titles that come up during GOTV, get out the vote period, that are related to the process of running elections and our role helping protect and ensure the vote. There are poll workers. Poll workers are temporary staff hired by the Board of Elections. They help run the whole election, right? They unlock the door and they help people sign in, help people cast their ballots. Those are the poll workers. There are inside poll observers. And if you are, for example, a county party leader, I know we have some county party leaders here, you know that we recently expanded our Inside Poll Observer program. This is a very structured volunteer program. And there's a separate training for people. It doesn't have to be lawyers, but a lot of time lawyers do this to observe what's going on inside the polling location. There are also outside poll observers. This is less formal and less structured than the inside poll observers. This is another volunteer opportunity for people who are passionate about voter protection. One thing that I want to mention, in some counties, outside poll observers and poll greeters might have some overlap. So you might find that in your county. What we're focused on today is poll greeting. These are volunteers who are recruited, managed, scheduled by the county parties. As the state party, we're providing some support, but you're probably working directly with your county party to get signed up to serve as a poll greeter. So those are the four key roles that you might hear people talk about as we get closer to November 4th and as you work as you volunteer as a poll greeter. This is a question for you all. If you want to type some thoughts in the chat, but why do we have poll greeters? If you were recruited to serve as a poll greeter, or if you are organizing a poll greeting program, what are some of the benefits? Nikki, that's what I'm here to learn. Sarah's got some thoughts. Here we go. Be visible as Dems. Name endorsed candidates and explain the ballot. Have direct conversations with voters. Absolutely. Self-confidence as we approach our greeting shifts. Yeah, that's great. Helping voters, knowing the rules and regulations. Yeah, help voters understand something on the ballot. Thank you. Okay. Those are all on track answers. Here's what I was thinking about putting this together. Um, First, we are demonstrating enthusiasm for Democrats. Some counties, particularly our more rural counties, counties that are redder, even purple, sometimes if you are the Democrat in that area, you might feel like you're the only Democrat in your county. But if you see other Democrats hanging out outside the polling location, you know you are not alone. So, just in general, meeting like-minded people and showing our enthusiasm. Second, and several of you talked about this, last chance to inform and influence voters before they cast their ballot. You are probably the last person talking to people before they go cast their ballot. So this is an opportunity to talk about our Democratic candidates, to help people understand their ballot and share information along the way. Third, this is an opportunity for us to recruit new volunteers. Part of this is specifically because of this election. The people who vote in the odd number year municipal elections, those are our political diehards. We know that voter turnout in this type of election is a lot lower than it was, say, last year for the presidential, plus Congress, plus governor, all kinds of races that got a lot of media attention. More people voted last year than we will probably see this year. But the people who do vote this year are very committed voters, probably more engaged than average. These are people that really could be a good opportunity for you to recruit people to volunteer with your county party, with your precinct next year. Then there is this kind of extra credit in some counties that maybe don't have as many registered voters in them. Poll greeters might also be kind of serving as outdoor poll observers. If this is you, Sarah dropped links in the chat. There is a specific training for outdoor poll observers. If you know that in your county you might be kind of serving as both roles, thank you, Sarah. This is just to kind of see, do we see shenanigans? And if you see shenanigans, how do you report it so that we hear about it at the state party and can take action if needed? So there is this kind of extra credit poll observer part. If you are serving as a poll greeter and someone else is serving as a poll observer and you see shenanigans, you can tell the poll observer and they will know how to report it. Also, I've heard from a lot of people that this is their favorite activity that they do every year. That when they go hang out outside of the polling location, they see people maybe they only see once or twice a year. They're in community, seeing their friends and neighbors. Sarah loves, loves, loves poll greeting. So it can be a tremendous amount of fun. So thank you for being here. This is an important slide. So important that I'm going to show it twice, also at the end. But this is, I encourage all of you, this is another phone number to put in your phone. This 1-833-868-3462. That's the North Carolina Voter Assistance Hotline. So if somebody needs help, if you have questions, that number is who you can call to talk to people that are volunteering with the Democratic Party to help with elections. So that is staffed during some kind of normalish hours. If there isn't someone to answer the call live, then this time of year with the timing, how close we are to the election, somebody will probably get back to you same day. On election day, on November 4th, there will be people staffing that hotline all day to answer questions immediately. So I will include that phone number when I send the follow-up email tomorrow as well, but that's one you want to save in your phone. That was a little bit of information about voter protection during GOTV, the 4 key roles, and a little bit about why we are poll greeting. I'll talk next about what you can expect during your poll greeting shift, but I'm going to pause here and see if there are any questions. Okay. I'm skimming through the chat and I don't see anything. Okay. What to expect? Does greeter stand outside or inside? That is a good segue. I will talk specifically about the buffer zone. You will be standing outside 25 to 50 feet away from the voting area. So I've got a specific slide on that coming up in just a little bit. Now, I have mentioned that the county parties are running their poll greeter programs. So I can't tell you exactly when your shift is, how long it's going to be, but these are questions that when you sign up through your county party, they will provide this information. So, when does your poll greeting shift, your volunteer activity start? When does it end? Usually, it's probably a 3 hour 4 hour time period, but make sure you are clear on what's expected of you. Also, of course, be on time and be prepared to stay the full time of your shift. That will help the people who are volunteering before you and after you. Will anyone be with you? Most places are going to have at least 2 to 3 volunteers. Um, who are poll greeting at the same time, but might be something again you want to ask your county about. Pitt is doing 2 hour shifts. Thank you for that, Donna. Yeah. So different counties have different degree of elaborate setups. So I'm in Wake County. And I know I've been at my polling location, and there's a tent, and there's signage, and there's chairs and a table. So it can be that substantial. Do you need to help set up that kind of equipment? Or if you have the first shift of the day, or if you have the last shift of the day, do you need to help pack it up? A question to make sure you ask when you get information about your event. And is there any reporting or a debrief, like a conversation that you have with people, with your county party to let them know how your day went? And then make sure you know who to contact with questions about your volunteer event. So this is going to be a county party leader. There might be a poll greeter coordinator in your county. When you sign up for a poll greeting event on Mobilize or through your county party, there's probably somebody's name attached to that. So just make a note of that name. What should you bring with you? I've got this in kind of 4 categories. First, think about comfort. So this, in my mind, includes county setup, depending on the county you're in, if there are tent, table, chairs, signage, clipboards, pens. You might want to ask about that in case you need to bring your own camp chair or something. I kind of keep one in the back of my car most of the time, so if I ever need it, I have it. Second, here for comfort is dress for the weather. You probably want to dress in layers, especially if you have a shift that's longer than 2 hours. The weather could change from, say, 6:30 in the morning to 10:30 in the morning. It might increase by several degrees. So dress in layers. Is it going to rain? Do you need an umbrella, hat, gloves, sunscreen? Take a look at the weather forecast. Do you need drinks or snacks, especially if you have a shift that's longer than 2 hours? Maybe you want a thermos of hot coffee or something. Have your technology with you and fully charged, perhaps a phone, tablet. If you have a supplemental battery, you might want to take that with you. In particular, when it's cold out, I find that my battery drains faster, so it's good to have a battery pack with you. And you might be there on a day, especially if it's not election day, if you're working one of the earlier days, there might be some slow periods. So have a book, have a crossword. I'd probably take some embroidery. Just think about if you need something with you there to pass some time. Can poll workers poll greet if they are not working? And do they have to be precinct specific? You don't have to be precinct specific to be a poll greeter. If you're working the polls, can you also be a poll greeter at a different time? Yes, but I think I'm following the question. But if I'm not getting that quite right, um,
I think that there are restrictions on poll workers for partisan activity.
oh, for poll worker.
Yeah, like I think poll workers may need to stop partisan activity during the election. You know what? Let me find out a little bit more. That's a good question.
Okay, and I was just putting the voter protection phone number in the chat because that will go to Kat Lawson, our voter protection director, who can speak with more confidence on that. So thank you for that question. Give me one moment.
Christy's having her house painted right now, and so I think she had to step away. Okay, yeah, Sharon, I'm gonna find out a little bit more. Poll workers are employed by the Board of Elections during the election, which I think is the sort of the rub there. Molly, to clarify the difference between a worker, an observer, and a greeter, a worker is an employee of the Board of Elections for administering the election. They sit inside and they look up the voter at in the poll book. An observer is either indoor or outdoor. They're appointed by the party, and they have a very specific function. And then a greeter is a volunteer. That's the function we're talking about right now.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, resources to bring with you. So you'll probably at your poll greeting location with your county party have information on candidates, on how to vote, and maybe information on the county party itself. So for candidates, sample ballots, literature for the Democrats that are on the ballot that you're supporting, voting information. You might want to have information on the polling locations across the county and their hours, have that information on the voter protection hotline, that phone number I told you to save. Have information on vote tripling, and I'm going to come back to that in a little bit. And then for county information, we recommend, and we've recommended this to county leaders, that you would have information on what upcoming events you have so that people can get signed up while you're talking to them and hopefully move them into active volunteers for the next election. Third, state of mind. This is a fun activity. So hopefully you are in a good mood, you are friendly, you are welcoming, you are being your most extroverted self and talking to people as they come to vote. Your responsibilities are to greet voters, say hello, be friendly, ask if they need any help, share information on voting for Democrats, thank people for voting. And I have this in quotes because this is specific language that has been researched. When you say to somebody, thank you for voting, voting is an action, they did it, it's done, it's out of their mind. When you say thank you for being a voter, it becomes part of your identity that you vote regularly. So this language is specific. Thank you for being a voter. And then depending on what county you're supporting, they might have some particular activities for you. I know some counties will say like keep a tally of how many people you talk to for the day or something like that. So there might be an additional responsibility. I see a question in the chat. Since our local commission elections are nonpartisan, how do we describe our support for specific candidates? A nonpartisan election just means that on the ballot, it does not have a D or an R by somebody's name. You can absolutely talk about our Democratic candidates. The county parties will have signage that says White County Democrats or Chatham County Democrats. So it will be very partisan as a poll greeter. And when we talk about vote tripling, I'll give you some specific language in a little bit to identify us as Democrats. Okay, someone asked earlier about the buffer zone. So This is information on the buffer zone. So, as a poll greeter, you can be campaigning. You can be what's called electioneering. You can advocate about who someone should vote for as long as you are not in the buffer zone. So this should be clearly marked at the polling location. It's a responsibility of the poll workers to say, here is the buffer zone, 25 to 50 feet from the voting enclosure. So as long as you're not in the buffer zone, you can absolutely be partisan. You can talk about our Democratic candidates and encourage people to vote for them. You are allowed to approach voters to talk to them. You cannot follow people into the buffer zone. Again, it'll be clearly marked. So there is that 25 to 50 foot, and there's some more specifics on how it's measured from the spot where you cast your ballot versus the door when people go in, and it can vary a little bit. But it will be clearly marked for you. I see, Sarah, go ahead.
I would add that there are some places where the layout of the polling location makes the curbside voting a little tricky in terms of this buffer zone. So that's a good thing to, if you're poll greeting at a location during early voting, so day after day, it's good to sort of have some clarity on what that polling location's preference is about curbside voting
Thank
ahead
you. You
of.
want to give the update from Kat as well?
Oh yeah, and then I messaged Kat. She said poll workers can in fact serve as poll greeters as long as they are not working at that time. They can't wear partisan gear while they are working. So you can't be doing your poll greeting shift and then going inside to do your poll working shift with your like Democratic Party t-shirt. But you can actually serve in both functions.
Thank you. Thanks for asking. Okay. Um, Campaign signs. So you can have campaign signs. They need to be outside of the buffer zone and they can advocate for a party, advocate for our candidates. Of course, the Republicans will also have this opportunity. Campaign signs can't block the path from the parking area to where people go vote. They can't spread misinformation or intimidate voters. And in this case, misinformation doesn't just mean like Sarah is not, in fact, a great candidate. It's more like misinformation would be something very dramatic related to voting, like if your hair is not brown, you're not allowed to vote. That would be misinformation. So those are just a couple of limitations on campaign signs, but yes, you can have campaign signs and party information at the poll grading location. Sarah put a good tip in the chat. Put your signs out the night before or get there early to get the best spot. Okay, that was information on what to expect and what you'll be doing as a poll greeter. I'm going to talk next about this strategy related to vote tripling. But before I move on, what questions do you have so far? Okay, I don't see anything I've missed in the chat, Sarah. Okay. Okay, vote tripling. Molly, let me back up. Sarah, when we know people's poll greeting program, are we doing anything to promote it or because I don't, the only county I saw that had their poll greeting on Mobilize was Mac, and they had 5,000.
There are a lot of polls in Mac. Molly, why don't we chat about what we could do to help you? We don't have because each county is kind of doing it separately, and some people are using Sign Up Genius, and some people use Google Forms. We don't have a good way to like sort of send that out, but reach out to Rod. You can email if you're a county party leader, rods@ncdp.org. And we probably already know your Rod, but if you're the county person coordinating poll reading and you want help with promotion, reach out and we'll figure it out.
Thank you, Sarah. Cindy put in the chat, can you wear Democratic branding clothing as a poll greeter? Yes, you can, and please do. This is something we want to be partisan. Part of it is that we want to help people cast their vote for our Democrats. I'm not particularly interested in helping Republicans make sure that they are also able to vote. I will leave that work for the Republicans to do. Please don't wear red. So, yes, this is a fully partisan activity. Wear your Democratic march. Okay, vote tripling. Has anyone heard of vote tripling before? I just want to get a sense if anybody wants to wave and say, like, yeah. Okay. Ah, Linda. Excellent. Okay. Vote tripling is a strategy to increase Democratic turnout. This is potentially very high impact in these municipal elections because, again, the turnout is so low that every vote cast carries more weight. This is a relational organizing tactic, if you've heard of relational organizing. Basically, you will talk to people and say, which three people do you know who you can text right now to remind them to vote? So it's a way people can triple their impact. And the relational organizing aspect of this is that in our current media environment, um, we're more fragmented than we have been in the past. There is not that source of media information where, I don't know, when I was growing up, like you watched ABC, NBC, or CBS Evening News. Everybody watched it every night. Like we all had the same information. We knew what was going on. That environment doesn't work anymore. And we're bombarded with misinformation, disinformation. Some people are watching Fox, they don't know what's going on. Basically, people don't trust the media the way they did a couple decades ago. So, relational organizing means if I tell three random people on the street, hey, go make sure you vote, it's not going to have the same impact as if you text three people you already know who trust you, who you believe are also Democratic voters, and you say, hey, don't forget there's a municipal election, come vote. The line was short, whatever. So, vote tripling is a way to increase turnout, get more Democratic votes by reminding people we know individually to go vote. Here is what that process kind of looks like. So, first, as a poll greeter, nail the greeting. So when someone approaches your table, or if somebody is themselves, if someone you know is a Democrat, or they're sending signals that they're a Democrat, or even you just don't know, greet them. Hi, thanks for being a voter. Smile, friendly, energetic, enunciate, speak loudly, engage voters. So this is a more proactive way of being a poll greeter instead of maybe sitting in a chair behind a table and waiting to see if people come up to you. You can proactively start a conversation. Introduce what you're doing. This is where you do want to use partisan language to filter out people who aren't going to vote for Democrats or help us triple the number of votes Democrats get. So, whether you're wearing a Democratic t-shirt or something, this partisan signaling is important. So, you could say, I'm trying to get more Democrats out to vote. You can mention specific candidates. I'm trying to get Mike Kondriak elected as mayor of Holly Springs. Um, for municipal elections this year, you might be fine just saying, I'm trying to get more Democrats out to vote. Then make an ask. So ask that person you're talking to take an action. So if they're still engaging with you and you've said you're a Democrat trying to get more votes, will you text three people right now and remind them to vote? Turnout in municipal elections is low. Part of it is that people might not know that the election is happening. I find that hard to believe, but I'm a super politically plugged in person, and not everybody is. Most people are not. So, will you text three people right now and go remind them to vote? You're making a confident, clear, direct ask of how they can help get more Democrats elected to office. So this is what it looks like when you're poll greeting. Hi, thanks so much for coming out today and being a voter. I'm trying to get more Democrats out to vote. Can you text three people right now and remind them to vote? So it's pretty quick. You can also, here's some sample language. Some of this I kind of said, like your friends will listen to you more than they're going to listen to a stranger like me. You're the best messenger to talk to your friends. Sarah.
Something that worked really well when we were trying to get people to call their representative this year was to say, we have a goal to get 75 people to call their friends today. And if you make the call right now, we can count it towards our goal. Look, we've got a tally going right now. And you can kind of create like a whole thing to just sort of make people do it on the spot. Because otherwise you're going to get people saying, oh yeah, I'm going to go do it when I get home, or I just need to get it through through voting and then I'll do it afterwards. So if you kind of create like a scenario where like it has to be done on the spot, it helps them feel like they need to do it right away.
Yeah, the two of us working the polling location as greeters, we're in a competition to see who can get the most people to text their friends and remind them to vote. Yeah, that sense of urgency helped me with this goal. That does work. It's peer pressure for good. Okay, here's some sample language again for overcoming some common objections. So, oh, all my friends vote, or I already reminded my friends. So, research shows that people do overestimate their friends' voting habits. So, you could potentially share an anecdote like, oh, I thought the same thing, and then my sister completely flaked and didn't remember it was election day until I told her. I don't have time to do it, or I'll do it later. This is partially what Sarah was talking about, the tally idea, a competition or a goal. And also, like, yeah, I know, we're all busy. It'd be a real simple text. Just say, go vote. That's all you have to send to your friends. Um, I can't think of who to remind. Here's some suggestions. Some of these I find funny, bordering on rude. Who are the most disorganized people in your life? Who who might not know what day of the week it is? Who have you talked to today? Who lives nearby? Something to help prompt people to think through. Um, yeah, who do you know that has ADHD? So just helping people brainstorm a little bit, you might make a suggestion that clicks for them. Oh, I do want to mention, I mean that's it with vote tripling. It's when it's done well, it can have a big impact. And you can really 45-second pitch to people as they come up. It's probably all it takes to get the conversation going. This information does come from an organization called Vote Rev. So if you are like, oh, I love vote tripling, I want to go deeper into this, feel free to Google Vote Rev and look at some of the information they have. Questions about vote tripling? What are your suggestions for municipals with no competition? Um, bring your crossword puzzle book. Oh, there we go. That's a better answer. Volunteer recruitment. Oh yeah, the people who are voting in races where there isn't competition, those people are diehard voters. I'm definitely going to be like, come to our um, Guilford County Dems holiday event. Here's all the information you need to know, and then try to get them engaged in the party. That's a good, yeah. Okay, I'm going to share some resources here. I did say I was going to show this slide twice, so here we go again. I will also include it in the follow-up email, but if you want to take a picture of that slide or a screenshot or something, really encourage you to save this in your phone and save it. I have it saved as North Carolina Voter Assistance Hotline, and then also in the notes, I put like a couple keywords because I only need this number a couple times a year. And I don't always remember exactly what it's called. So I put in some keywords so I can find it easily. But save that in your phone. Couple other trainings. So this poll greeter training is happening two more times. If you are a county party leader and you have people signed up that you want to send to it, or if you have friends that you want to do some poll greeting with you. Then if you want to go a little bit deeper into North Carolina election law, we have a session. When is that? That's Monday evening on election law basics. And I mentioned that the other two volunteer opportunities are indoor and outside poll observing. So if you or someone you know is interested in that, um, those are coming up as well. And Chris Dearman, thank you for the endorsement. That's very nice. Election Law Basics with Kat Lawson. Kat is a rock star. It's very good. So with that, I'm ready to wrap up. Last slide here. I have office hours Friday from 11 to 12. Sarah O'Brien in the organizing department, they have office hours Thursdays from 3 to 4. It's an opportunity to pop in, ask questions. We'll connect you with resources. If you are wrapping up this training and you're like, well, tell me how to get signed up to be a poll greeter. I'm not yet signed up. Because this program is run out of the county parties, what I recommend is that you Google your county party. They all have websites and they probably have information on their websites on how to engage as a poll greeter. So that would be my recommendation there. Thank you, Sarah. Direct link to the county parties. And with that, I'm going to stop recording